Good day, everyone. We are the reporters to discuss today the chapter 15 entitled Evaluation Studies from Controlled to Natural Settings. And I'm Luz Micaela Bagtas, the first reporters. First one is the introduction. Imagine that you have designed a new app to allow school children aged 9 to 10 years old and their parents to share caring for the class hamster over the school holidays. The app will schedule which children are responsible for the hamster and when, and it will also record when it is fed. The app will also provide detailed instructions about when the hamster is scheduled to go to another family and the arrangement about when and where it will be handed over. In addition, both teachers and parents will be able to access the schedule and send and leave message for each other so that the parents and the teachers have connected to each other. The second introduction. In this chapter, we describe evaluation studies that take place in a spectrum of settings, from controlled laboratories to natural settings. Within this range, we focus on the following. The first one is the usability testing, which take place in usability labs and another controlled lab-like settings. Second one, experiments, which take place in research labs. And the third one, field studies, which take place in natural settings such as people, home, school, work, and leisure environments. And the aims of this topic, the first is explain how to do usability testing. Second, outline the basics of experimental designs. And the last one is describe how to do field studies.
My name is April Rose Bipolino, and I will discuss the topic usability testing. Usability testing usually takes place in usability labs or temporary makeshift labs. These labs enable designers and researchers to control the test settings. Versions of usability testing are also conducted remotely, online, and in living labs. Usability testing focuses on performance measures such as how long and how many errors are made. When completing a set of predefined tasks, direct and indirect observation, video, and keystroke logging is conducted and supplemented by user satisfaction questionnaires and interviews. Usability testing involves recording performance of typical user doing typical tasks. Control settings. Users are observed and timed. Data is recorded on video and key presses are logged. The data is used to calculate performance times and to identify and explain errors. User satisfaction is evaluated using questionnaires and interviews. Field observation may be used to provide conceptual understanding. Experiment and usability testing. Experiment tests hypotheses to discover new knowledge by investigating the relationship between two or more variables. Usability testing is applied experimentation. Developers check that the system is usability by intended user population for further usability testing and research. Usability testing. Improve products, few participants, results-informed design, usually not completely replicable, condition control as much as possible, procedure plan, results reported to developers, experiment for research, discover knowledge, many participants, result validated statistically, must be replicable, strongly controlled condition, experimental design, scientific report to scientific community. Usability testing. Goals and questions focus on how well user perform tasks with the product. Comparison of product or of prototypes is common. Focusing on time to complete tasks and number and type of errors. Data collected by video interaction logging. Testing is central. User satisfaction questionnaires and interview provide data and about user opinion.
I'm Jericho Idolos Reyes, and I will continue the report. Testing condition for usability testing. Usability lab or other controlled space emphasize on selecting a representative users, developing a representative task. Participants should be a realistic user of the product or service being studied. That might mean that the user is already using the product or service in a real life. Alternatively, in some cases, the participant may just have a similar background to the target user group, or might have the same needs even if he isn't already a user of the product. 5 to 10 users typically selected. Tasks usually around 30 minutes. The test conditions are the same for every participant. Informed consent form explains procedure and deals with the ethical issues. How many participants is enough for user testing? The number is practical issue, depends on schedule for testing. The participants or the recruiters need to know the schedule of testing, the day, the time, and other issues. Availability of the participants. Recruiters or researchers need to know the availability of the participants if the participants have a work or school. Cost of running test. Recruiters generally charge a fee for each participant successfully recruited. A successful recruit is one that meets the criteria, appears for testing, and is able to complete the test. A good recruiter will screen, schedule, and remind the participant about the test appointment to assure all the recruits are successful. Typically, 5 to 10 participants needed in a testing. Some experts argue that the testing should continue until the new insights are gained. Next, usability lab with observers watching a user and assistant. A usability laboratory in which evaluators watch participants on a monitor and through a one-way mirror. Typically, there are two wall-mount video cameras that record the user's behavior, such as hand movements, facial expressions, and general body language. Microphones are placed near where the participants will be sitting to record their comments. Video and other data is fed through the monitors in an observation room, which is usually separated from the main lab or workroom by the one-way mirror so that designers can watch participants are doing but not seen by the participants. The observation room can be small auditorium with rows of seats at different levels or more simply a small back room consisting of a row of chairs facing the monitors, like you see in the example. Next, portable equipment for use in the fields. The Traxxas Lab in a Box system, which comprises components that pack into a heavy-duty padded flight case plus a PC system. Usability lab can be expensive and lab-intensive to run and maintain, therefore less expensive and more versatile alternatives started to become popular in early mid-1990s. Development of mobile and remote usability testing equipment also corresponded with the need and to do more testing in small companies and other venues. Mobile usability equipment typically includes video cameras, laptops, eye tracking devices, and other measuring equipments can be set up temporarily in an office or other spaces, converting into a makeshift usability laboratory, like you see in the example, the Traxxas Lab in a Box system. An advantage of this approach is that the equipment can be taken into work settings, enabling testing to be done on the site, which make it less artificial and more convenient for the participants.
Hi, I'm Reynalyn Banyaga who will continue the topic. portable equipment for use in the field. The tracking system being used with a mobile device camera that attached to a flexible arm, which mount on a mobile devices and is tethered to a lamp. Mobile Head Mounted Eye Tracker. The Mobile Head Mounted Eye Tracker. Head-mounted systems built into glasses are generally more comfortable, less invasive, and can be worn with other technologies. With mobile eye tracking, many eye tracking studies in perception, communication, and other fields that were simulated on a screen in the past can now be moved into naturalistic and realistic contexts. The head mobile eye tracking system are also employed to analyze the user experience of a smartphone application. Case study: testing the iPad usability. 7 participants with 3+ months experience with iPhones. Sign an informed consent form explaining what the participants will be asked to do, the length of time needed for the study, the compensation that will be offered for participating. Participants' right to withdraw from the study at any time, a promise that the person's identity would not be disclosed, and an agreement that the data collected would be confidential and would be available to only the evaluators. Then they were asked to explore the iPad. Next, they were asked to perform randomly assigned specified tasks. The example of the tasks used in the iPad evaluation: app or website. iBook, download the free copy Alice Adventure in Wonderland and read through the first few pages. Craigslist, find some free mulch for your garden. Time Magazine, browse through the magazine and find the best pictures of the week. If you're curious, you want to make an apple pie tonight, find a recipe and see what you need to buy in order to prepare it. Kayak, you are planning a trip to Death Valley in May this year, find a hotel located in the park or close to the park.
Good day, I am Erica Buen and I will continue the discussion about the iPad usability. So here is the example equipment of the iPad that we'll be using in testing sessions. Problems and actions. Problems detected. Accessing the web was difficult. Lack of affordance and feedback. Getting lost. And lastly, knowing where to tap. So, sa accessing the web was difficult. Maraming bagay yung nakaka-disturb pa sa pag-access sa web. Siguro like maraming ads na bigla na lang magpa-pop up. Lack of affordance and feedback. Lack of affordance means kakulangan sa possibility na magamit ng maayos ang isang bagay. Getting lost. Getting lost like hindi mo alam kung saan ka mag-umpisa, kung ano yung unang dapat gawin para ma-access yung gusto mong i-access. Knowing where to tap. It is like kailangan alam mo kung tama ba yung gagawin mong actions. Actions by evaluators. Reported to developers. Made available to public on nnnngroup.com. Accessibility for all users are important. Conducting experiments. Test hypothesis. Predict the relationship between two or more variables. Independent variable is manipulated by the researcher. Dependent variable influenced by the independent variable. Typical experimental designs have one or two independent variables, validated statistically and replicable. Experimental designs. Different participants. Single group of participants is allocated randomly to the experimental condition. So, sa different, may isang group na isa-isang bibigyan randomly ng iba't ibang conditions, tsaka kukunin yung magiging feedback nila sa condition na binigay sa kanila. Same participants. All participants appear in both conditions. So, same participants naman, dito naman, participants will be in the same conditions. Then, tsaka malalaman kung pareho or magkaiba sila ng magiging feedback. And last, match participants. Participants are matched in pairs based on expertise, gender, and etc. So, sa match naman, by pairs to. Based naman to sa kaalaman nila, gender, at iba pa.
I'm Micaela Almadin and I'll continue that topic. Different same match participant design. In different participant design, a single group of participants is allocated randomly to each of experimental condition so that different participants perform in different conditions. Another term used for this experimental design is between subject. An advantages is that there are no ordering or training effect caused by the influence of participant only ever perform under one condition. And the disadvantages, many subject and individual differences a problem. In same participant design, also called with subject design, all participants perform in all conditions so that they only have the number of participants is needed. The main reason for this design is to lessen the impact of individual differences and see how performance varies across conditions for each participant. It is important to ensure that the order in which participants perform tasks for this setup. The advantages is few individuals, no individuals differences, and the disadvantages, counterbalancing needed because of ordering effect. In match participant, also called pairwise design, participants are matched in pairs based on certain user characteristics such as expertise and gender. Each pair is then randomly allocated to each condition. The advantages is same as different participants but individual differences reduced. And the disadvantages cannot be sure of perfect match on all differences. Field studies. Field studies are done in natural settings. In the wild is a term for prototypes being used freely in natural settings. Seek to understand what users do naturally and how technology impacts them. Field studies are used in product design to identify opportunities for new technology, determine design requirements, design how best introduce new technology, evaluate technology in use. Evaluation conducted in natural settings are very different from those conducted in controlled environment, where tasks are set and completed in an orderly way. In contrast, studies in natural settings tend to be messy in the sense that activities often overlap and are constantly interrupted by events that are not predicted or controlled, such as phone calls, text, rain, if the study is outside, and people coming and going. This follows the way that people interact with products in their everyday messy world, which is generally different from how they perform on fixed tasks in laboratory settings. Field studies can range in time from just a few minutes to a period of several months or even years. Data is collected primarily by observing and interviewing people, such as by collecting video, audio, field note, and photos to record what occurs in chosen settings. In addition, participants may be asked to fill out paper-based or electronic diaries which run on smartphone, tablets, or other handheld device at particular points during the day. A field study of pain monitoring device. Monitoring patients' pain is a known challenge for physicians. Goal of the study was to evaluate the use of pain monitoring device for use after ambulatory surgery. PainPad is a keypad device. It was usability tested extensively in the lab before brought into hospital. Goal was to understand how PainPad was used in natural environment and as part of routine in 2 UK hospitals, and how pain monitoring differed with PainPad. So this is the tangible device for inpatient self-logging pain. After returning from surgery, the patient were each given a pain pad that stayed by the side of their bed. Patients were encouraged to use it at their earliest convenience. The pain pad was programmed to prompt the patient to report their pain levels every 2 hours. This 2 hours interval was based on the hospital's desired clinical target for collecting pain data. Each time a pain rating was due, alternating red and green lights flashed on the pain pad for up to 5 minutes, and an audio notification of a few seconds sounded. The patient pain rating was automatically timestamped by the pain pad and stored in a secure database.
I am Jenny May Ayo, and we will continue this report. Data collection and analysis, observation and interview. We have notes, features, and recording, video, and logging. So, dito po yung mga recording performance ng user na madalas pong gawin. So, si user din po also observe ng time and control the settings po. And data is also used to calculate the performance times para po ma-identify and para po ma-explain po yung mga error. So, user also evaluating by user using a questionnaire and interviews po. Analysis, categorize, and categories can be provided by the theory. So, grounded theory, this is expand an explanation and identify the key elements and categorizing the relationship of those elements to the context and process of the experiment. So, dito po ginagamit yung mga pagbuo ng isang panibagong theory na galing po sa iba't ibang sources of data. Ito ay may pag-aaral po na nagpo-focus po sa iba't ibang anggulo upang makapagbuo ng panibagong concept. So, activity theory po is an umbrella term po for a line of social science theories and research with its roots in the Soviet physiological activity po ng theory. So, dito rin po kine-conceptual yung framework originating a social cultural tradition na naiintindihan as a purposeful, transformative, and developing interaction between a subject and the object. So, data presentation, the aim is to show how the products are being appropriated and integrated into their surroundings. So, defined as a process of using a various graphical formats to visually represent the relationship between two or more data sets. So, typically representation forms include vignettes, excerpt, critical incidents, patterns, and narratives. So, summary. This is chapter describe evaluation studies in different settings. It focused on controlled laboratory studies, experiments, and field studies in natural settings. A study of iPad when it first came out and second studies conducted a year later was represented as an example of usability testing. Experimental design was the discussed that involved testing of hypotheses and in controlled research lab. The chapter ended with a discussion of field studies in which participants used prototypes and new technologies in natural settings. So that's all for our group report today, guys. Hope you have learned today. Arigato, thanks!